Welcome to another captivating Sovereign Diplomat episode. Today we're diving into one of the most consequential relationships in modern geopolitics, Germany and China. These two titans of industry have forged a partnership that's as intricate as it is influential, weaving together strands of economic cooperation and geopolitical rivalry. In the next few minutes, we'll peel back the layers of this complex alliance, revealing how the interplay between Berlin and Beijing is reshaping the chessboard of global politics and international trade. From boardrooms to diplomatic chambers, the decisions made between these two powers ripple across continents, affecting everything from technological innovation to global governance. We'll dive into the delicate balancing act Germany performs, juggling its economic interests with pressing human rights concerns. How does Berlin navigate these treacherous waters without capsizing its principles or its profits? You'll discover the hidden connections between German engineering and Chinese innovation and how these two nations are shaping the future of industries from automotive to artificial intelligence. We'll examine the challenges German businesses face in the rapidly changing Chinese market and compare Germany's approach to China with that of its European neighbors. Finally, we'll gaze into our crystal ball and explore potential future scenarios for this pivotal relationship. Will Germany and China grow closer, or will rising tensions pull them apart? Stay tuned as we unpack one of the most important bilateral relationships of the 21st century. To understand the complexity of today's Germany-China relationship, we need to take a step back in time. The story of these two nations' interactions spans centuries, marked by periods of fascination, cooperation, and at times conflict. Our journey begins in the late 19th century when Imperial Germany, like other European powers, established spheres of influence in China. The German concession in Tianjin and the leased territory of Kiautschou Bay, including the port of Qingdao, became focal points of German presence in China. This era saw the exchange of goods, but also ideas, with German beer brewing techniques leaving a lasting impact still evident in China today. World War I marked a turning point as China seized German holdings and declared war in 1917. However, the interwar period saw a renewal of ties. In the 1930s, Nazi Germany and the Republic of China formed an unlikely alliance, with Germany providing military advisors and equipment to China. This cooperation abruptly ended in 1941 when Germany recognized Japan's puppet regime in China. The post-World War II era saw a divided Germany and a communist China. East Germany recognized the People's Republic of China in 1949, while West Germany, aligned with the US, maintained relations with Taiwan until 1972. The reunification of Germany in 1990 opened a new chapter, coinciding with China's economic reforms and opening up to the world. A pivotal moment came in 1995 with the initiation of the Sino-German Strategic Partnership. This agreement laid the groundwork for increased political dialogue and economic cooperation. The relationship deepened further in 2004 when it was upgraded to a strategic partnership in global responsibility. In recent years, high-level visits have become commonplace. Chancellor Angela Merkel visited China 12 times during her tenure, highlighting the importance Germany places on this relationship. These visits have often resulted in significant business deals and joint declarations on issues ranging from climate change to global governance. However, it's not all been smooth sailing. The 2016 acquisition of German robotics firm KUKA by Chinese appliance maker Midea raised concerns about technology transfer and prompted Germany to tighten its foreign investment rules. More recently, issues such as human rights in Xinjiang and the situation in Hong Kong have strained the relationship, showcasing the delicate balance Germany must maintain between its economic interests and its values. Now that we've set the stage with our historical overview, let's zoom in on the economic powerhouse that is the Germany-China relationship. In recent years, this partnership has become a cornerstone of both nations' economies, with staggering numbers that highlight its importance on the global stage. Let's start with some eye-opening statistics. In 2023, China remained Germany's most important trading partner for the 8th consecutive year, with a trade volume exceeding 250 billion euros. German exports to China, ranging from vehicles to machinery and chemical products, have consistently grown, while imports from China, primarily in electronics and textiles, have surged. This trade relationship has been a key driver of growth for both economies, but it's not without its challenges. Germany has faced a growing trade deficit with China in recent years, prompting discussions about trade balance and market access. When it comes to corporate presence, German companies have established themselves as major players in the Chinese market. Automotive giants like Volkswagen, BMW, and Daimler have made significant investments in China, with Volkswagen deriving nearly 40% of its global sales from the Chinese market. Chemical company BASF and engineering conglomerate Siemens have also made substantial commitments, with BASF investing 10 billion euros in a new chemical complex in Guangdong province. But it's not just German companies setting up shop in China. Chinese investments in Germany have been on the rise, albeit with some controversy. High-profile acquisitions like Media's takeover of robotics firm KUKA in 2016 sparked debates about protecting strategic industries. However, Chinese investments have also brought benefits, such as the revival of the port of Duisburg, now a key European hub in China's Belt and Road Initiative. The nature of these economic ties is evolving. While traditionally focused on manufacturing and heavy industry, recent years have seen a shift towards high-tech collaboration. Both countries are increasingly partnering in areas like artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, and renewable energy technologies. This shift reflects both the changing nature of global economics and the strategic priorities of both nations. However, it's important to note that this deep economic integration also creates vulnerabilities. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the risks of over-reliance on single markets, leading to discussions in Germany about diversifying supply chains. Moreover, growing geopolitical tensions and concerns about technology transfer have led to increased scrutiny of Chinese investments in Germany. While the economic relationship between Germany and China has flourished, it hasn't been without its ethical dilemmas. Germany, like many Western nations, finds itself in a complex dance, trying to maintain lucrative business ties while staying true to its values and commitment to human rights. This balancing act has become increasingly challenging in recent years. At the heart of this issue are serious human rights concerns in China. The treatment of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang, the erosion of democratic freedoms in Hong Kong, and broader issues of censorship and political repression have all drawn international criticism. German politicians and civil society have been vocal about these concerns, putting pressure on the government to take a stronger stance. Germany's diplomatic approach to these issues has been characterized by what some call change through trade or Wandel durch Handel. This philosophy posits that economic engagement can lead to positive political and social change. However, this approach has faced growing skepticism as China's economic rise hasn't been accompanied by the political liberalization many had hoped for. In practice, Germany has often opted for quiet diplomacy, raising human rights issues in private meetings rather than public condemnations. Chancellor Angela Merkel, during her tenure, was known for her annual trips to China, where she would discuss business deals alongside human rights concerns. This approach has been both praised for maintaining open lines of communication and criticized for being too soft on Beijing. The impact on business decisions has been significant and multifaceted. Some German companies have found themselves in ethical quandaries. For instance, in 2019, Volkswagen faced backlash for operating a plant in Xinjiang, leading to discussions about corporate responsibility in regions with human rights concerns. Similarly, German companies have had to navigate issues of technology transfer and data privacy, balancing business opportunities against potential misuse of their technologies. Moreover, the German government has taken steps that impact business operations. In 2021, Germany passed a supply chain law requiring large companies to monitor their global suppliers for human rights violations. There's also been a shift in public opinion. German consumers and civil society groups are increasingly aware of and concerned about ethical issues in China. This has put pressure on both the government and businesses to be more transparent and accountable in their dealings with China. Looking ahead, this balancing act is likely to become even more challenging. As China's global influence grows and geopolitical tensions rise, Germany may find it increasingly difficult to compartmentalize its economic interests and its ethical concerns. The country may need to make tough choices that could impact its economic relationship with China. As we pivot from the ethical considerations, let's delve into one of the most dynamic and potentially game-changing aspects of the Germany-China relationship: technology and innovation. This arena is where some of the most exciting collaborations are taking place, but it's also a space fraught with challenges and controversies. Let's start with the automotive industry, a sector where German expertise meets Chinese ambition. German automakers like Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz have long been major players in the Chinese market. But in recent years, this relationship has evolved from simple export-import dynamics to deep-rooted partnerships in cutting-edge technologies. Take electric vehicles, for instance. BMW has partnered with Chinese battery giant KTL to develop next-generation EV batteries, while Volkswagen has invested heavily in joint ventures to produce electric vehicles in China. These collaborations are not just about tapping into the world's largest auto market. They're about co-developing the future of mobility. Moving to the realm of artificial intelligence, we see a similar pattern of both cooperation and competition. German AI research institutions have established partnerships with Chinese counterparts, sharing knowledge and resources. For example, the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, DFKI, has collaborations with several Chinese universities and tech companies. These partnerships aim to advance AI technologies in areas like natural language processing, computer vision, and autonomous systems. However, these collaborations also raise questions about data sharing and the potential dual-use nature of AI technologies. But here's where things get complicated. While these technological partnerships offer immense opportunities, they also bring to the forefront issues of technology transfer. Germany, like many Western countries, has become increasingly concerned about the flow of sensitive technologies to China. There are worries that some collaborations could lead to unintended transfer of critical know-how, potentially impacting national security or economic competitiveness. This concern isn't purely hypothetical. In 2018, the German government vetoed a Chinese attempt to acquire machine tool manufacturer Liefeld Metal Spinning, citing security concerns. More recently, there's been growing scrutiny of Chinese investments in German tech startups, particularly those working in areas like AI, robotics, and quantum computing. In response to these concerns, Germany has tightened its rules on foreign investments and technology exports. In 2020, it amended its foreign trade law to lower the threshold for reviewing foreign investments in critical sectors. This move, while not explicitly targeted at China, was widely seen as a response to growing Chinese investments in key technologies. Despite these challenges, both Germany and China recognize the immense potential of technological cooperation. They're continuing to seek ways to collaborate while protecting their respective interests. For instance, there are ongoing discussions about establishing clear guidelines for research partnerships and creating mechanisms for secure data sharing. As we shift our focus to the broader European context, it's crucial to understand that Germany's China policy doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a complex tapestry of European approaches, each influenced by unique national interests and perspectives. Let's explore how Germany's stance compares to other major EU economies and how it shapes overall EU-China relations. First, let's consider France, Germany's close partner in European affairs. While both countries recognize the importance of economic ties with China, France has often taken a more assertive stance on political issues. President Emmanuel Macron has been vocal about the need for European strategic autonomy, a concept that implies reducing dependence on both China and the United States. France has also been more openly critical of China's human rights record, exemplified by its strong statements on the situation in Xinjiang. Italy, on the other hand, made waves in 2019 by becoming the first G7 country to sign up to China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. This move was viewed with concern by both Germany and other EU partners who worried about China gaining too much influence within the bloc. However, Italy's enthusiasm for the BRI has cooled in recent years, aligning more closely with the cautious approach favored by Germany. Smaller EU economies often have different calculations. Countries like Greece and Hungary have been more open to Chinese investments, seeing them as opportunities for economic growth. This has sometimes put them at odds with the more cautious approach advocated by Germany and other larger economies. Germany's position often seems to strike a middle ground between these varied approaches. It maintains strong economic ties with China while also expressing concerns about human rights and fair competition. This balanced approach has made Germany a key player in shaping EU-China relations. Indeed, Germany's role in formulating EU policy towards China cannot be overstated. As the EU's largest economy and a political heavyweight, Germany's stance often sets the tone for broader EU policy. During Angela Merkel's chancellorship, Germany was instrumental in pushing for the EU-China Comprehensive Agreement on Investment, although this deal was later frozen due to political tensions. Germany has also been a driving force behind the EU's concept of treating China as a partner, competitor, and systemic rival simultaneously. This nuanced approach, which acknowledges both the opportunities and challenges in engaging with China, has become the cornerstone of EU policy. However, Germany's influence hasn't been without controversy. Some EU members have criticized Germany for prioritizing its economic interests with China over broader European concerns. There's a perception that Germany's massive trade relationship with China sometimes makes it hesitant to take stronger stances on political issues. Looking ahead, Germany's role in shaping EU-China relations is likely to remain significant, but may evolve. There are signs of a gradual shift towards a firmer stance on issues like market access and technology transfer. The new German government, formed in 2021, has signaled a slightly more critical approach to China, which could influence broader EU policy. As we consider Germany's position within the EU, it's clear that its China policy is both influential and subject to influence. It must balance its national interests with its responsibilities as a leading EU member. The ongoing challenge for Germany will be to help forge a coherent European approach to China while navigating the diverse interests and perspectives of its EU partners. As we turn our attention to China's grand strategy for global connectivity, the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, we find yet another arena where Germany's approach reflects its complex relationship with the rising Asian superpower. The Belt and Road Initiative, announced by Chinese President Xi Jinping in 2013, aims to connect Asia, Europe, and Africa through a network of infrastructure projects. It's a vision of unprecedented scale, promising to reshape global trade routes and economic relationships. For Germany, a nation built on export-driven growth and global connectivity, the BRI presents both tantalizing opportunities and significant challenges. Unlike some of its European neighbors, Germany has not officially signed on to the BRI. The German approach has been one of cautious engagement rather than full-throated endorsement. This stance reflects broader European concerns about the initiative's transparency, environmental standards, and potential to create debt traps for participating countries. However, Germany's non-participation at the state level hasn't prevented German businesses from seizing opportunities within the BRI framework. Many German companies, particularly those in the construction, logistics, and engineering sectors, have found lucrative contracts in BRI projects. For instance, Siemens has been involved in numerous BRI-related ventures, from providing power generation technology in Pakistan to supplying signaling systems for rail projects in Turkey. The city of Duisburg offers a compelling example of how the BRI intersects with German interests. This city in Germany's industrial heartland has positioned itself as a European hub for the new Silk Road with regular freight train connections to China. The economic revival of Duisburg, driven in part by its role in the BRI, illustrates the potential benefits of engagement with the initiative. Yet, German involvement in BRI projects isn't without its concerns. There are worries about fair competition, with some German businesses expressing frustration that Chinese state-backed companies often have advantages in securing BRI contracts. There's also the broader strategic concern that the BRI could increase European dependency on China, potentially giving Beijing leverage in future political and economic negotiations. In response to these challenges, Germany has been a key proponent of the EU's Global Gateway Initiative, launched in 2021 as a kind of European alternative to the BRI. This strategy aims to mobilize up to 300 billion euros in investments between 2021 and 2027 to support global infrastructure development. It's seen as a way to offer partner countries an alternative to Chinese financing while promoting European values and standards. Germany's approach to the BRI encapsulates many of the themes we've discussed throughout this video. We see the tension between economic opportunity and strategic caution, the balancing act between national interests and European solidarity, and the ongoing effort to engage constructively with China while maintaining independence and upholding values. As the BRI continues to evolve, Germany's stance may well shape the broader European response. Will Germany find ways to more fully engage with the initiative while addressing its concerns? Or will it continue to chart a path of selective participation while promoting alternative visions of global connectivity? The answers to these questions will have significant implications not just for Germany and China, but for the future of global trade and international relations. As two economic powerhouses with different political systems, how Germany and China navigate their relationship could well set the tone for how democratic market economies and authoritarian state capitalist systems interact in our interconnected world. Understanding this dynamic is crucial not just for policymakers and business leaders, but for anyone seeking to comprehend the intricate dance of global politics and economics in the 21st century. In this video, we'll unpack the nature of the Franco-German alliance that's shaping Europe's future. We'll take you on a journey from its formation to its current state, revealing how these once rival nations became Europe's dynamic duo. We'll explore the key areas of cooperation between France and Germany, from economic policies that influence the global market to defense strategies that are reshaping European security. We'll also dive into the historical tensions that make this alliance so remarkable and the current challenges it faces. You'll get insights into how the current leaders of France and Germany are steering this partnership and positioning Europe on the world stage. And if you've been wondering how this alliance stands up to global powers like the US, China, and Russia, stick around. To truly understand the significance of the Franco-German alliance, we need to rewind the clock and explore the tumultuous history between these two European powerhouses. For centuries, France and Germany were locked in a cycle of rivalry and conflict. This antagonism reached its peak in the 20th century with two devastating world wars. World War I from 1914 to 1918 saw France and Germany on opposite sides, resulting in millions of casualties and a deeply scarred continent. The Treaty of Versailles, which ended the war, imposed harsh penalties on Germany, sowing the seeds for future conflict. Just 2 decades later, World War II erupted, with Nazi Germany invading France in 1940. The occupation that followed left deep wounds in the French psyche and further strained relations between the two nations. However, in the aftermath of World War II, visionary leaders on both sides recognized that continued hostility would only lead to more destruction. Key figures like French Foreign Minister Robert Schuman and German Chancellor Konrad Adenauer began to advocate for cooperation rather than confrontation. A pivotal moment came in 1950 with the Schuman Declaration, which proposed the creation of the European Coal and Steel Community. This organization, established in 1951, brought France, Germany, and other European countries together to jointly manage their heavy industries. It was a strategic move designed to make war between France and Germany not merely unthinkable, but materially impossible. This bold step towards economic cooperation laid the groundwork for what would eventually become the European Union. More importantly, it marked the beginning of a new era in Franco-German relations, paving the way for the alliance we see today. The transformation of Franco-German relations from enmity to alliance reached a defining moment on January 22, 1963, with the signing of the Élysée Treaty. This landmark agreement, also known as the Treaty of Friendship, formalized the reconciliation between France and Germany and laid the foundation for their future cooperation. The treaty was signed by two towering figures of post-war Europe, French President Charles de Gaulle and German Chancellor Konrad Adenauer. These leaders, both shaped by the ravages of war, shared a vision of a strong, united Europe with France and Germany at its core. De Gaulle, a symbol of French resistance during World War II, saw the alliance as a way to amplify France's influence in Europe and counterbalance the growing power of the United States and the Soviet Union. Adenauer, who had opposed the Nazi regime, viewed closer ties with France as crucial for Germany's rehabilitation and reintegration into the international community. However, it's important to note that the treaty wasn't universally welcomed at the time. Some in Germany worried it might weaken their ties with the United States, while others in France feared it could lead to German dominance. Despite these concerns, the Élysée Treaty stood the test of time, becoming the cornerstone of Franco-German cooperation. The Franco-German alliance has evolved significantly over the decades, adapting to changing global dynamics and European needs. Let's explore some of the major milestones and agreements that have shaped this partnership. In the 1970s and 1980s, the alliance focused heavily on European integration. French President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing and German Chancellor Helmut Schmidt were instrumental in creating the European monetary system in 1979, a precursor to the euro. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and German reunification in 1990 marked a crucial test for the alliance. French President François Mitterrand and German Chancellor Helmut Kohl rose to the occasion, working together to ensure German unity within a more integrated Europe. Their efforts culminated in the Maastricht Treaty of 1992, which created the European Union and laid the groundwork for the euro. The early 2000s brought new challenges and a shift in focus. The alliance played a key role in shaping the EU's response to the global financial crisis of 2008. The joint leadership of French President Nicolas Sarkozy and German Chancellor Angela Merkel was crucial in stabilizing the Eurozone during the subsequent debt crisis. The 2019 Treaty of Aachen, signed by French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Angela Merkel, renewed and expanded the Élysée Treaty. Throughout its evolution, the Franco-German alliance has seen shifts in its focus. However, this evolution hasn't been without its tensions. Differences in economic philosophies, approaches to EU reform, and defense policies have at times strained the relationship. But what exactly makes the Franco-German partnership so powerful? First and foremost, it's a matter of sheer economic might. Together, France and Germany account for about 40% of the Eurozone's GDP. They are the two largest economies in the EU, with Germany being Europe's industrial powerhouse and France boasting significant strengths in sectors like aerospace, luxury goods, and agriculture. Politically, the Franco-German alliance has been the driving force behind European integration. From the creation of the euro to the shaping of EU institutions, many of the Union's most significant developments have stemmed from Franco-German initiatives. Geographically and culturally, France and Germany bridge Northern and Southern Europe. France, with its Mediterranean influences, often represents the interests of Southern European states, while Germany is closely aligned with Northern and Eastern European perspectives. This unique position allows them to broker compromises and find solutions acceptable to diverse EU member states. However, it's important to note that this dynamic duo status isn't without its critics. Smaller EU states sometimes feel overshadowed, arguing that the Franco-German axis wields too much power. There are also occasions when France and Germany disagree, leading to policy gridlock in the EU. The Franco-German alliance extends across numerous domains, but three areas stand out as particularly significant: economic policies, defense and security strategies, and cultural and educational exchanges. In EU decision-making, France and Germany often set the agenda. Their bilateral meetings frequently precede major EU summits, allowing them to align their positions and present a united front. This pre-coordination can significantly influence the outcome of EU-wide discussions. For instance, when France and Germany agreed on the need for a COVID-19 recovery fund, it paved the way for the historic €750 billion next-generation EU program. Their influence is particularly evident in the European Council, where EU leaders make the bloc's most important political decisions. The alliance's impact on EU policies is wide-ranging. In economic matters, the Franco-German approach has been instrumental in shaping the Eurozone's architecture and crisis response mechanisms. Their push for greater economic integration led to the creation of the Banking Union and the European Stability Mechanism. In foreign policy and defense, Franco-German initiatives have been driving forces behind the EU's common foreign and security policy and the more recent concept of strategic autonomy. Their joint advocacy has been crucial in maintaining a united EU stance on issues like sanctions against Russia or negotiations with Iran. The alliance also influences the EU's long-term direction. The idea of a multi-speed Europe, where some member states integrate more deeply in certain areas while others opt out, has roots in Franco-German thinking. Their support for enlargement has been pivotal in the EU's expansion, particularly to Central and Eastern Europe. However, it's important to note that Franco-German leadership in the EU is not without its critics. Smaller member states sometimes feel that decisions are being made by Paris and Berlin without adequate consultation. There's occasional resentment of what some perceive as a directorate approach to EU governance. Moreover, when France and Germany disagree, it can lead to policy paralysis in the EU. Their differences on issues like Eurozone reform or the pace of European integration can slow down decision-making processes. Despite these challenges, the reality remains that the Franco-German alliance is central to the EU's functioning. Their ability to find compromises between their often differing perspectives frequently creates blueprints for wider EU agreements. Whether it's pushing for deeper integration, responding to crises, or charting the EU's course in a changing world, the Franco-German partnership continues to be a driving force in European politics. While the Franco-German alliance has been a driving force in European integration, its effects on other EU member states are complex and multifaceted. For many EU members, the Franco-German alliance brings significant benefits. It provides stability and direction to the European project, often breaking deadlocks in negotiations and pushing forward important initiatives. Smaller countries can benefit from the economic and political clout of this partnership, particularly when their interests align with Franco-German proposals. The alliance also serves as a model of reconciliation and cooperation, demonstrating how historical adversaries can become close partners. This has been particularly inspiring for countries in regions with complex historical relationships, such as the Balkans. However, the dominance of the Franco-German partnership also presents challenges for other EU members. There's a persistent concern about the emergence of a two-tier Europe, where France and Germany, along with a few other large countries, make decisions for the entire bloc. Smaller countries sometimes feel sidelined in major EU decisions, leading to frustration and occasional pushback. This power dynamic can be particularly problematic when Franco-German interests diverge from those of other member states. The Franco-German alliance thus faces a constant balancing act between exercising leadership and ensuring inclusivity. On one hand, their ability to forge compromises and drive initiatives is crucial for EU progress. On the other, they must be careful not to alienate other member states or create the perception of a Franco-German diktat. In recent years, both countries have made efforts to be more inclusive. The Weimar Triangle, a grouping of France, Germany, and Poland, is one example of an attempt to extend cooperation beyond the bilateral relationship. Despite these efforts, maintaining this balance remains a challenge. The EU's diversity in terms of size, economic models, and geopolitical priorities means that Franco-German proposals won't always align with every member state's interests. The Franco-German alliance has always been shaped by the personalities and visions of its leaders. Today, this partnership is embodied by French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Let's take a closer look at these leaders and their impact on the alliance. Emmanuel Macron, who became president of France in 2017, is known for his bold pro-European vision. A former investment banker and economy minister, Macron came to power with an agenda of reforming both France and the EU. He's been a vocal advocate for greater European integration, proposing ambitious ideas like a Eurozone budget, a European army, and a Europe that protects its citizens. He sees the Franco-German partnership as the driving force behind a more sovereign, united, and influential Europe on the global stage. On the German side, Olaf Scholz assumed the role of Chancellor in December 2021, succeeding the long-serving Angela Merkel. Scholz, a social democrat, brings a different style to the chancellorship. Known for his pragmatic and methodical approach, Scholz has had to navigate significant challenges early in his tenure, including the Ukraine crisis and its economic fallout. Scholz's vision for the alliance and Europe is rooted in continuity with a dash of reform. He has emphasized the need for a strong, sovereign Europe, echoing some of Macron's themes. The Macron-Schultz dynamic represents an interesting blend of styles. Macron's bold visions often provide the initial impetus, while Schultz's pragmatism helps in translating these ideas into workable policies. Their shared priorities include strengthening European defense capabilities, advancing the EU's green and digital transitions, and enhancing Europe's strategic autonomy. However, their partnership has also faced challenges. They've had to navigate differences on issues like energy policy, with France favoring nuclear power and Germany phasing it out. Despite these differences, Macron and Schultz have consistently reaffirmed the importance of the Franco-German alliance. Their joint appearances at EU summits and bilateral meetings underscore the continuing centrality of this relationship to European politics. As Europe faces a series of crises, from the ongoing impacts of the pandemic to the war in Ukraine and energy security concerns, the ability of Macron and Schultz to find common ground and lead effectively will be crucial. Their success or failure in strengthening the Franco-German alliance and advancing their vision for Europe will likely shape the continent's trajectory for years to come. Defense and security cooperation has become an increasingly important aspect of the Franco-German alliance, particularly in recent years. As global security challenges evolve, France and Germany have been working to strengthen Europe's defense capabilities and strategic autonomy. Let's explore their joint military projects and their stance on NATO and European defense autonomy. One of the most significant joint military projects is the Future Combat Air System, FCAS. This ambitious initiative aims to develop a next-generation fighter jet and associated systems by 2040. It's not just about creating a new aircraft, it's a comprehensive system that includes drones, satellites, and artificial intelligence. This project symbolizes the desire of both countries to maintain technological sovereignty in defense and reduce dependence on non-European suppliers. Another key joint venture is the Main Ground Combat System, MGCS, a project to develop a new battle tank to replace the German Leopard 2 and French Leclerc tanks. These projects, if successful, will form the backbone of European land and air defense for decades to come. France and Germany have also been instrumental in establishing the Permanent Structured Cooperation, PESCO, within the EU framework. This initiative allows member states to strengthen their defense cooperation, jointly develop defense capabilities, and enhance the EU's capacity to conduct operations independently. When it comes to NATO and European defense autonomy, the Franco-German position has been evolving. Both countries remain committed to NATO, recognizing its crucial role in European security. However, they've also been advocating for what they call strategic autonomy for Europe. This concept of strategic autonomy doesn't mean replacing NATO, but rather complementing it by enhancing Europe's ability to act independently when necessary. The idea gained momentum following uncertainties about US commitment to European security and the realization that Europe needs to take more responsibility for its defense. France, under President Macron, has been particularly vocal about the need for European strategic autonomy. Germany, traditionally more cautious about initiatives that might be seen as challenging NATO, has gradually moved closer to the French position, especially in light of recent global developments. This shift was evident in the EU's Strategic Compass, a document outlining the bloc's security and defense strategy, which was strongly supported by both France and Germany. The document calls for enhancing the EU's capacity for autonomous action while maintaining strong cooperation with NATO. However, challenges remain. There are ongoing debates about how to balance EU defense initiatives with NATO commitments and how to finance increased defense spending. Moreover, other EU members, particularly those in Eastern Europe, sometimes view Franco-German defense proposals with caution, fearing they might weaken the transatlantic link. Despite these challenges, France and Germany continue to push for a stronger European defense identity. Their joint leadership in this area is crucial for the EU's ambition to become a more capable and autonomous global actor in security and defense. The Franco-German alliance plays a crucial role in shaping Europe's geopolitical stance, particularly in its relations with global powers like the United States, China, and Russia. Let's examine how this partnership navigates these complex relationships. When it comes to relations with the United States, the Franco-German approach has been one of maintaining strong transatlantic ties while advocating for greater European autonomy. Both countries recognize the importance of the US as a key ally, especially within the NATO framework. However, recent years have seen a push for what they call a more balanced partnership. During the Trump administration, tensions arose over issues like trade, defense spending, and climate change. This period accelerated Franco-German efforts to strengthen Europe's strategic autonomy. Even with the Biden administration's more cooperative approach, France and Germany continue to advocate for a stronger European voice in global affairs. The alliance supports maintaining strong economic and security ties with the US, while also asserting Europe's right to pursue its own interests when they diverge from American policies. This was evident in their stance on the Iran nuclear deal, where they sought to preserve the agreement despite US withdrawal. Regarding China, the Franco-German approach has been evolving. Both countries recognize China's economic importance but have grown increasingly wary of its geopolitical ambitions. They've been instrumental in shaping the EU's policy of viewing China simultaneously as a cooperation partner, an economic competitor, and a systemic rival. France and Germany have pushed for a united European approach to China, balancing economic opportunities with concerns over human rights, technology transfer, and fair competition. They've supported EU initiatives like the investment screening mechanism to protect strategic European assets. However, they've also been careful not to completely alienate China, recognizing its crucial role in global issues like climate change. The alliance's approach to Russia presents perhaps the most significant challenge. Historically, Germany has favored engagement with Russia, particularly in energy relations, as exemplified by the Nord Stream pipeline projects. France, while also advocating dialogue, has often taken a firmer stance on Russian actions in Ukraine and elsewhere. However, recent events, particularly Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, have led to a significant shift in the Franco-German approach. Both countries have strongly condemned Russian aggression and have been at the forefront of coordinating EU sanctions against Russia. Germany's decision to suspend Nord Stream 2 and significantly increase its defense spending marked a historic shift in its foreign policy, aligning more closely with the French position. The alliance has been crucial in maintaining European unity in the face of Russian aggression, coordinating military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine, and pushing for energy diversification to reduce dependence on Russian fossil fuels. In navigating these complex relationships, France and Germany often act as a bridge between different perspectives within the EU. They seek to balance maintaining strategic partnerships, protecting European interests, and upholding democratic values. As the global order continues to evolve, with rising tensions between the US and China, an increasingly assertive Russia, and emerging challenges in areas like cybersecurity and climate change, the Franco-German alliance's ability to forge common European positions will be more crucial than ever. Their joint leadership will be key in determining Europe's place in this changing geopolitical landscape. The alliance's significance extends beyond bilateral relations, acting as a catalyst for broader European cooperation and often setting the agenda for the EU's future. The future of Europe, in many ways, hinges on the strength and vision of this dynamic duo. Their ability to bridge differences, forge compromises, and lead by example will be key to realizing the dream of a strong, united, and globally influential Europe. Germany and the European Union, a relationship that's as complex as it is crucial. You've heard the buzz, you've seen the headlines, but what's really going on beneath the surface? Is it a love story, a bitter rivalry, or something far more intricate? In this video, we're diving deep into the heart of Europe's most influential partnership. We'll uncover the nature of this so-called love-hate relationship and reveal whether it's a strong bond with hidden tensions or a web of contradictions. Get ready for a roller coaster ride through history, politics, and economics. We'll explore real-world examples that showcase both harmony and discord. From the Euro crisis to the refugee situation, we'll dissect the moments that define this dynamic duo. But why the tension? What's really driving the wedge between Germany and the EU? We'll peel back the layers and expose the root causes that keep diplomats up at night. And it's not just about Germany and Brussels. We'll examine how this relationship sends ripples across the entire continent. Is Germany's influence a force for good or a source of resentment? Looking to the future, we'll gaze into our crystal ball. Will this relationship flourish or fracture in the years to come? We'll also take the pulse of the people. What do Germans really think about the EU? And how do other Europeans view Germany's role? The answers might surprise you. Of course, we can't ignore the money. We'll break down the economic implications of this relationship and how it affects everything from your morning coffee to the car you drive. Finally, we'll pull back the curtain on EU decision-making. Does Germany truly call the shots, or is its influence overstated? So whether you're a policy wonk, a history buff, or just curious about the forces shaping our world, stick around. By the end of this video, you'll have insider knowledge on one of the most important relationships in global politics. Let's get started. To truly understand the complex relationship between Germany and the European Union, we need to step back in time. The story begins in the aftermath of World War II, a conflict that left Europe in ruins and Germany as a divided nation. In 1951, West Germany became one of the 6 founding members of the European Coal and Steel Community, the precursor to the EU. This was more than just an economic arrangement. It was a bold attempt to bind former enemies together and make future wars not merely unthinkable, but materially impossible. For Germany, it was a chance at redemption and reintegration into the European family. Fast forward to 1957, and we see the signing of the Treaty of Rome, establishing the European Economic Community. Germany, still rebuilding itself, played a crucial role in shaping this new European project. The country's economic miracle, or Wirtschaftswunder, became closely intertwined with European integration. A key milestone came in 1990 with German reunification. This historic event not only reshaped Germany, but also significantly impacted the European project. A larger, more powerful Germany emerged, raising both hopes and concerns among its European partners. The introduction of the euro in 1999, with Germany as a driving force, marked another pivotal moment. The new currency symbolized deeper integration, but it also tied Germany's economic fate more closely to that of its EU partners, for better or worse. In recent years, we've seen Germany take center stage during various EU crises, from Chancellor Merkel's handling of the Eurozone debt crisis to Germany's controversial stance during the 2015 refugee crisis. The country has often found itself at the heart of EU decision-making and debate. These historical threads weave together to form the tapestry of today's Germany-EU relationship. It's a history of shared triumphs and challenges, of growing together and sometimes growing apart. Understanding this past is crucial as we delve deeper into the current state of this complex partnership. Building on our historical context, let's dive into the nature of this love-hate relationship between Germany and the EU. It's a partnership that often resembles a complex dance with steps of harmony and moments of tension. On the love side, we see strong cooperation in several key areas. Germany has been a staunch advocate for the single market, which aligns perfectly with its export-driven economy. The country has also been a leading voice in EU climate policy, pushing for ambitious targets and investing heavily in renewable energy. In matters of diplomacy, Germany often acts as a bridge builder, using its influence to forge compromises and move the EU forward. Moreover, Germany has been a consistent supporter of EU enlargement, seeing it as a way to spread stability and prosperity across the continent. The country has also been at the forefront of educational initiatives like the Erasmus program, fostering cultural exchange and a sense of European identity. But where there's love, there's often friction. One major point of contention has been Germany's approach to fiscal policy. Its insistence on austerity measures during the Eurozone crisis sparked resentment in southern European countries who felt the burden of these policies most acutely. This debate over economic governance continues to simmer beneath the surface of EU relations. Another flashpoint has been Germany's energy policy, particularly its reliance on Russian gas and the controversial Nord Stream 2 pipeline. This has put Germany at odds with both EU energy policy and the geopolitical concerns of its eastern neighbors. Immigration is yet another thorny issue. While Germany's open-door policy during the 2015 refugee crisis was initially praised, it also led to tensions with other EU members who felt pressured to follow suit. The ensuing debates about burden sharing and border control have exposed deep divisions within the bloc. We also see friction in defense spending, with Germany often criticized for not meeting NATO's 2% GDP target despite being Europe's largest economy. This has led to accusations of Germany free-riding on the security provided by others. In essence, the Germany-EU relationship is one of deep interdependence, shared values and common goals, but also one of competing national interests and differing visions for Europe's future. Let's bring our discussion to life with some real-world examples that showcase both the harmony and discord in the Germany-EU relationship. Two events in particular stand out: the Euro crisis and the refugee situation. First, let's revisit the Euro crisis, which began in 2009. This financial earthquake tested the foundations of the European project, and Germany found itself at the epicenter of the response. On one hand, we saw Germany's commitment to the European ideal. As the EU's economic powerhouse, Germany contributed the lion's share to bailout funds for struggling economies like Greece, Ireland, and Portugal. This demonstrated a clear willingness to support its European partners in times of need. However, Germany's approach to managing the crisis also sparked significant controversy. Chancellor Angela Merkel's insistence on strict austerity measures as a condition for financial aid was met with resistance and resentment, particularly in southern Europe. Critics argued that these policies deepened recessions and unemployment in already struggling nations. The image of Germany as the EU's stern taskmaster began to take shape, straining relations with several member states. Fast forward to 2015, and we encounter another pivotal moment, the refugee crisis. Here, we initially saw Germany taking a bold pro-EU stance. Chancellor Merkel's famous words, "Wir schaffen das," we can do this, accompanied her decision to open Germany's borders to hundreds of thousands of refugees. This move was initially hailed as a humanitarian triumph and a demonstration of European values in action. But the harmony was short-lived. Germany's unilateral action put immense pressure on other EU countries, many of which were unprepared or unwilling to accept large numbers of refugees. The Dublin Regulation, which stipulates that asylum seekers must be processed in their country of entry, came under severe strain. Countries like Hungary and Poland outright refused to accept EU-mandated refugee quotas, leading to a bitter divide within the bloc. Germany's stance also sparked domestic backlash, with the rise of anti-immigration sentiment and the growing popularity of far-right parties like the AfD. This internal pressure eventually led to a tightening of Germany's initially open policy, creating tension with EU institutions that were pushing for a more coordinated and open approach to the refugee situation. Now that we've seen how the Germany-EU relationship plays out in real-world scenarios, let's dig deeper into the root causes of tension. Understanding these underlying issues is crucial to grasping the full picture of this complex partnership. First on our list is diverging economic philosophies. Germany, shaped by its historical experiences, particularly the hyperinflation of the 1920s, has developed a strong culture of fiscal discipline. This translates into a preference for balanced budgets, low inflation, and structural reforms. However, this ordoliberal approach often clashes with the more Keynesian philosophies prevalent in many other EU countries, particularly in Southern Europe. These nations tend to favor more flexible fiscal policies and greater emphasis on growth and employment over austerity. This fundamental difference in economic worldviews has been a persistent source of friction, especially during times of crisis. Next, we have sovereignty concerns. As the EU has grown and evolved, the question of how much national sovereignty should be ceded to Brussels has become increasingly contentious. Germany, while generally supportive of European integration, has at times been reluctant to give up control in certain areas. The ruling of the German Constitutional Court challenging the European Central Bank's bond-buying program is a prime example. This pushback against EU authority reflects a broader debate about the balance between national and supranational power, a debate that Germany, as the EU's largest member state, plays a central role in. Lastly, there are differing views on EU integration. While Germany has historically been a champion of closer European Union, its vision for the future of the EU doesn't always align with that of other member states or EU institutions. Germany tends to favor a more intergovernmental approach where national governments retain significant power rather than a fully federal Europe. This stance often puts it at odds with those pushing for deeper integration in areas like fiscal policy, defense, and foreign affairs. Moreover, Germany's size and economic clout mean that its preferred policies often dominate EU decision-making. This can lead to resentment from smaller states who feel their voices are being drowned out, and accusations that the EU is becoming a German Europe rather than a European Germany. Now that we've explored the tensions in the Germany-EU relationship, let's shift our focus to Germany's influence on other EU member states. This influence is far-reaching and multifaceted, touching on economic, political, and cultural spheres. Let's start with the economic impact, which is perhaps the most visible and quantifiable. As the EU's largest economy, Germany wields significant economic clout. Its export-driven model has led to substantial trade surpluses, which have both positive and negative effects on other member states. On one hand, Germany is a crucial market for many EU countries' goods and services. On the other, its persistent trade surpluses have been criticized for creating imbalances within the Eurozone. German economic policies often set the tone for the entire EU. The country's emphasis on fiscal discipline has shaped EU-wide economic governance, particularly in the aftermath of the euro crisis. This has led to the adoption of measures like the fiscal compact, which requires member states to maintain strict budgetary discipline. While some view this as necessary for long-term stability, others argue it constrains economic growth, especially in less competitive economies. Moving to the political arena, Germany's sway is equally significant. As the most populous EU member state, Germany has the largest representation in the European Parliament and a strong voice in the European Council. German politicians often hold key positions in EU institutions, further amplifying the country's influence. Germany's political stance on various issues can often make or break EU initiatives. We saw this during the Euro crisis, where German support was crucial for bailout packages, and again during the refugee crisis, where Germany's initial open-door policy significantly influenced EU-wide debates on migration. But Germany's influence isn't limited to formal political channels. The country's soft power and cultural influence also play a crucial role in shaping perceptions and policies across the EU. German media outlets, think tanks, and cultural institutions have a wide reach, often setting the tone for EU-wide discussions on various issues. Moreover, Germany's model of social market economy and its dual education system have been admired and emulated by several EU countries. The country's approach to issues like renewable energy and climate policy has also influenced EU-wide initiatives in these areas. It's important to note that Germany's influence, while substantial, isn't absolute or unchallenged. Other large member states like France and Italy also wield significant influence, and coalitions of smaller states can effectively counterbalance German power in many areas. Furthermore, Germany's influence can be a double-edged sword. While it often allows the country to shape EU policies in ways that align with its interests, it also means that Germany is frequently blamed when things go wrong. This can lead to resentment and pushback from other member states. In essence, Germany's economic might, political weight, and cultural soft power make it a pivotal player in the EU. Its influence shapes everything from economic policies to cultural norms across the bloc. Understanding this influence is crucial to grasping the dynamics of EU politics and the challenges of balancing national interests with European unity. As we look to the future of the Germany-EU relationship, we find ourselves at a crossroads. The path ahead is not set in stone, and several potential scenarios could unfold. Let's explore these possibilities and the factors that could shape them. One potential scenario is deeper integration, with Germany at the helm. In this future, Germany might embrace a more federalist vision for Europe, supporting initiatives like a true fiscal union, a European army, or more harmonized social policies. This could lead to a more unified EU, but it might also exacerbate concerns about German dominance. Alternatively, we could see a scenario of differentiated integration where Germany supports a multi-speed Europe. This would allow groups of member states to progress in certain policy areas while others opt out. While this could provide flexibility, it risks creating a fragmented EU with Germany at the core of an inner circle. A third scenario could involve a more intergovernmental approach, with Germany advocating for greater power to be retained by national governments. This might appease sovereignty concerns but could slow down the process of European integration. Of course, we can't rule out more pessimistic scenarios. Increased Euroscepticism in Germany, perhaps fueled by economic downturn or migration pressures, could lead to a cooling of Germany's relationship with the EU. While a Germexit seems unlikely, a less engaged Germany could significantly alter the EU's trajectory. Several factors could influence which of these scenarios or others comes to pass. First and foremost is leadership. The policies of future German governments will play a crucial role in shaping the country's EU stance. Will they champion further integration or take a more cautious approach? Economic factors will also be pivotal. The success or failure of current EU economic policies and Germany's economy will influence German public opinion on the EU and shape the country's future approach to European economic governance. External pressures can't be ignored either. Challenges like climate change, migration, or geopolitical tensions with powers like Russia and China could either drive Germany and the EU closer together or create new friction points. Technological changes and the digital revolution present both opportunities and challenges. Germany's ability to lead in areas like artificial intelligence and green technology could enhance its influence, but also raise concerns about digital sovereignty and economic competitiveness among other member states. Demographic shifts will play a role too. As Germany's population ages, it may need to rely more on EU-wide solutions for issues like labor shortages and pension sustainability. Lastly, public opinion both in Germany and across the EU will be crucial. The degree of support for the European project among German voters and how Germans are perceived by other Europeans will significantly impact the future of this relationship. As we conclude this analysis, it is essential to note that the future of the Germany-EU relationship is not predetermined. It will be shaped by a complex interplay of political choices, economic realities, external pressures, and public sentiment. As we move forward, keeping an eye on these factors will be key to understanding the evolving dynamics of this crucial partnership. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth explorations of global politics and economics. With that said, thanks for watching.